English learning experience and their questions to the teacher about their queries and difficulties in learning English. So this is a kind of supplementary information for us to understand why the learners formulate certain learning objectives and what difficulties they have come across in learning English. So what is a learning contract? Learning contracts are agreements between a teacher and a learner. So it's like other kinds of contract, a kind of agreement between the teacher and the learner. It is one form of assessment which provides a useful mechanism for assuring both parties of whether a planned piece of work can meet the requirement of a course. So in this case, I'm talking about setting English learning objectives and also the means to achieve the objectives, and whether students can achieve the objectives at the end of the semester based on the self-access work they have done for the past 14 weeks. So let me show you what a learning contract is like. On the top of the learning contract, there are spaces for students to tell me their language learning objectives. So they can be more general here, maybe reading, maybe listening, pronunciation. But then they have to be more specific in filling in this table. So as you can see in this table, there are different columns and information required. Firstly, the learners have to tell the specific objectives they set. In other words, what does it mean by speaking? They focus on accuracy or fluency or accent or what specific aspect. Okay, so here they have to tell more specifically what they want to improve in speaking, in writing, in reading, etc. And then they also have to suggest and write down what they plan to do in 14 weeks in one semester in order to achieve the objectives, in order to address the weaknesses. So maybe watching TV, watching news, preparing a vocabulary book, etc. And then they also have to tell the frequency of doing something when they're going to start working on the task. So here, let me show you some evidence, some learning evidence submitted by a student regarding the objectives she set in the areas of listening, reading, and vocabulary. At the end of the semester, students have to submit a portfolio to the teacher showing the evidence, showing all the work they have done in the past 14 weeks to achieve the learning objectives they set. So here you can see the learning evidence submitted by one of the students. So in this PowerPoint, I will list my materials in listening, reading, and vocabulary, and introduce the learning method with evidence in each category. So this is a very organized, very clear list showing all the learning objectives and how the student achieved the objectives through different means. So this is how she improved her intensive listening. So downloading materials from a website, listening carefully, and trying to follow the pronunciation and intonation, trying to identify the differences between American accent and British received pronunciation, RP. So here you can see an extract taken out. So we can't hear the voice here, but this is what she did. Show me the original sound script and then how she followed the tone, the use of tone, the pronunciation, and this is her imitation. And then extensive listening, a list of movies and TV programs. This is the second objective, intensive reading. She did some dictation. Extensive reading, borrowing some novels from the library, and then write down the vocabulary items that she doesn't understand. So these are the books. She showed me what she has done, a summary of the story, the list of vocabulary in the vocabulary book. So you can see she focused mainly on the meaning and also the Chinese meaning, the translation of the meaning, vocabulary, the synonyms. So this is the learning evidence submitted by one of my students in the areas of listening, reading, and vocabulary. So this is the idea of the learning contract. Alright, I'm going to show you some preliminary findings I collated from one cohort. I asked this cohort of students to do learning contract twice, in the first semester and also in the second semester. Now, in the first semester, students could choose whatever learning objectives they like to address their weaknesses in learning English. But in the second semester, students were asked to focus mainly on grammar, some areas of grammar. Okay? Now, so let me show you the findings for the first semester. Now, this table shows you the different learning objectives set by Year 1 students of the English major. So you can see writing, listening, speaking, reading, vocabulary, grammar, and others. Now let's first find out what university students find the most important to work on among the different skills. Now, as shown in the table, listening. So you can see listening here. And also speaking here are the top two skills students focus on when asked to do self-access work for improvement. Among the 65 students, 52 of them said listening and speaking as the learning objectives. The percentage is 80%. 80%. Showing the emphasis on these two skills. Now, by listening, students want to be able to understand what native speakers said. So this is the specific purpose they said, understanding what the native speakers said. Some students told me that native speakers sometimes speak so fast and that they can't get what they mean. And some others said that the accent of some native speakers of English make it difficult for them